All right, Shalom, Shalom. I want to start off by giving all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, by Hashem, Yahushai, by Hashem, Rakah Kodash. I'm going to say double honors to the apostles and the bishop elders of Great Millstone for teaching his word in truth and sincerity and for ruling well. Salutations to the 144,000 hopeful elect, the elect, and wherever you're at in the earth, as well as the mixed multitude of men, women, and children who also consist of the elect. Lord willing, we be some of those men. Hey, I'm the brother Gabar Yahweh from GMS Hawaii, coming to you with another quick lesson. And Lord willing, to be edifying. It's going to be on a series of 2 videos. One that you see in front of you. This is from the African Diaspora News Channel. I don't think I'm subscribed to this page, but these 2 videos were posted earlier today in a group chat, and so I figure I can, further edify with these videos. Okay, and basically these videos pretty much show that we're the Israelites through the curses that we are under. Okay, we're not a cursed people, but we're under the curses. Okay, and why are we as a nation going through these things such as the curses? Because we have sinned against our Lord Yahweh Bashmi Awashai. When I was in the world, I didn't understand why so-called blacks and Latinos, even Native Americans, I didn't really know too many Native Americans, but now I know why we are the lowest on the so-called nation totem pole as it pertains to the world, and why these other nations seem to get preferential treatment when it comes to them. All right, as well as the fact that all these different nations that are around about us have a negative name or negative connotation associated primarily with the so-called Negroes, but as well as the so-called Latino and so-called Native Americans, man. Just by even calling us African American, Native American, or Latino, or Hispanic, those are proverbs and bywords, which is one of the curses that was levied upon our people. Another thing, having these nations, work around you, because a lot of them don't live around us. Primarily the so-called Chinese. When I was growing up in the hood, in North Philadelphia, there was Chinese stores on every other corner. In fact, I could go back to the area in which I grew up in, Salakia. Again, I could go back to the area in which I grew up in, and those same Chinese stores are there to this day. It would seem like if you want a business in a ghetto that thrives, start a Chinese store. But those stores are only allowed to function if there are so-called Chinese immigrants in them. All right, and mind you, they work, but they don't live in our community. They open up in the middle of the afternoon, stay open up until the middle of the early morning. And what are they selling us? Poison. Okay, abominable foods. All right, shit that they don't even eat, and they eat abominable foods, but they won't eat the shit that they sell us. Right, and they get preferential treatment. Versus our people. And these are just signs that show you that we're the Israelites. Okay, whether you believe it or not, we are the Israelites. We're not African. We're not African. All right, we're not Latino. We're not Hispanic. We're not Spanish. We're the Israelites, man. And we as a nation are suffering these things together. All right. This is the book of Psalms 82. I'm sorry, I think it's 83. Psalms 83. It's the book of Psalms 83. Right? And I'll go straight to the point. This is Psalms 83 and 4. It says, they have said, come, let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance. Right. And that's these different nations' job. And that's what they have conspired to do, is to cut us off as a nation. But while they did that, what they did was they allowed us to still suffer. So what do we have? What do the so-called Negro, West Indian, Haitian, Latino, Hispanic, Native American have in common? We're oppressed together. We're oppressed together in every way. All right. This is the book of this is the book of Jeremiah. Just bear with me, brothers. I've been having a hard time putting this lesson together. Trust me. I've probably been like over 2 hours just trying to put this lesson together. I've been running in the brick wall and the brick wall. This is Jeremiah 50 and 33. Thus saith the Lord Yahweh, by Shem Yahweh Shai of hosts. The children of Israel and the children of Judah were oppressed together, and all that took them captive held them fast. They refused to let them go. So here it is. We're in captivity in these different lands where we were driven at. And these nations that exploit us, these nations that mock us, they refuse to let us go. Let us go where? Go back to our homeland. In fact, the vast majority of our people don't even realize that Israel is our homeland. It's not, it don't belong to the Gentiles. Okay? They didn't give us our culture back that they beat out of us and ripped from us, and now they even wear it themselves. All right? They didn't do any of these things. They refused to let us go. You know? And so when you suffer, when we go through the things, and I'm gonna play the video in a second. All right, but when you watch these videos, the portion I will play, you're going to see that, hey, we're the Israelites, man. And these curses are on us until this very day. Deuteronomy 28 and 45, starting at 45. Moreover, all these curses shall come upon thee and shall pursue thee and overtake thee till thou be destroyed, because thou hearkenest not unto the voice of the Lord thy God, Yahweh Shem Shah, thy power, thy God, to keep his commandments. So ultimately, the reason why we're being mocked by these different nations, the reason why these nations receive preferential treatment above us, and we've been in these lands for centuries, right? The reason why is because of these curses, all right? They're on us because we didn't keep the Lord's commandments. This is the outcome for that. And his statutes which he commanded thee, and they shall be, what is they? The curses. Then they shall be upon thee for a sign and for a wonder, and upon thy seed forever. When you look that up in the NLT, it says these horrors, these different curses, their horrors, will serve as a sign. So it'll show you on the earth who the Israelites are, and a warning among you and your descendants forever. Right. You know what I'm saying? Therefore shalt thou forever, because thou servedest not the Lord thy God with joyfulness and with gladness of heart, for the abundance of all things. Therefore shalt thou serve thine enemies, which the Lord Yahweh Shai shall send against thee in hunger and in thirst and in nakedness and in want of all things. And he shall put a yoke on your of iron upon thy neck until he have destroyed thee. And there you have it. The reason why we're amongst these different nations. And we're going to talk about two different nations. We're going to talk about Moab, which is so-called Chinese. We're going to talk about Japhet, which is the so-called Hawaiians, Samoans, Tongans, Polynesians, Micronesians, Melanesians. These are the Japhetic people. Well, guess what? Even amongst these low people, we're made a mockery. All right? So with that, I'm going to play a little bit of this video.
Are hurt. They're hurt because so on TikTok, a lot of black people, who didn't know, are hurt. They're hurt because a lot of them thought that as a collective, not as individuals. Remember, I always tell y'all, you have individuals that are very great with us and very cool with us, and then you have collectives of people.
Yeah. You think an individual that's cool with you, guess what? The Lord is going to put a separation with that, because these people, these nations, they're not cool with you. And if they are really truly endeared unto us, 9 times out of 10, they're Israelites. But they just like the other nations, man. But the Lord don't deal with individuals. He deals with nations. All right? And all these nations are going to be dealt with for what they've done to us. So Jake be getting all sad when you find out that across the board with these nations, they look down upon us. It's a problem. But you thought that because you had 1 or 2 of these people that you thought was cool with you was straight, or you might be dealing with these nations' women and you think it's cool, you find out that you're the laughing stock. Here it is, these Japhetic people out here living on islands, eating fucking coconut, putting leaves on themselves, man. Walking around barefoot, eating each other. But they look down upon us, man. You see? But that's just a battle because it's part of the judgment.
A lot of black people, who didn't know, are hurt. They're hurt because a lot of them thought that as a collective, not as individuals. Remember, I always tell y'all, you have individuals that are very great with us and very cool with us, and then you have collectives of people. Well, they have found out that Samoans have a word for black people. They didn't know that. They thought Samoans was, hey, we rock.
And these are Japhetic people. Not just a Samoan. I actually know this woman right here. This is from Polynesian Culture Center. That's crazy. I actually know a girl right here. I knew her at the time. She's crazy. But yeah, these are Japhetic people. These are not Polynesian people. These are not those Samoan. These names that were given unto them. They go back to Japheth. These are some of the sons and daughters of Japheth, right? These tattooing demons. They talk down about us, man. You know what I mean? Fucking heathen, man.
We rock with Samoans. Samoans are great with us. No issue, no problems. But yet they are Samoans that use a particular word for black people, and they just really hurt by that. Let's go ahead and review what the sister says.
I just want to take a moment to point out that Black people finding out that Samoans have been racist against us, rather than making us angry, has really hurt our feelings. Like Black people are like, damn, I thought she was with us. Like I thought we was like this.
And that's your fault, because none of these nations are with us, man. These people are our enemies. They're not our friends, you know. And I'm quick to say that amongst these nations, you have no friends. That's why the Lord said this, Jeremiah 30:16. Jeremiah 30:16, right? It says, therefore, all they that devour thee shall be devoured. All thine adversaries, every one of them shall go into captivity. And they that spoil thee shall be a spoil, and all they that prey upon thee will I give for a prey. So we're not cool. You know what I'm saying? Because they let you in a little luau, because they let you into their crib, they talk to you, they chop it up with you. Motherfuckers ain't our friends, bro. We ain't got no friends amongst these nations, man. In the NLT it says, but all who devour you will be devoured, and all these nations devoured us, and all your enemies will be sent into exile. All who plunder you will be plundered, and all who attack you will be attacked, man. And the Lord's going to use us as a nation to get these nations down and put them down, right? It'd be the simple nigga woman. She always thinks somebody cool with her. Nah, these motherfuckers ain't cool with us. They ain't our people. Salakia. Just bear with me, brothers. Just bear with me for a second. See Jake out here thinking just because these nations are around them and they smile at them that they're cool, but they're not.
We didn't know. I mean, I think that all Black people know that in general, everybody hates us. Everybody thinks it's funny to talk down on us. We're at the bottom of everyone's list. But everybody thinks it's funny to talk down on us. We're at the bottom of everyone's list. But this one hurt. This one hurt our feelings.
So the word they're using actually translates to black thing in relation to us. And the word they're using is meuli, meauli. That's the word they're using in relation to black people. Now, let me tell y'all something. You know, some people in the chat, like, oh, why do people worry about how other people feel about us? Let me tell you something. I had to think about this before I made this commentary. It's not normal for people to have a mass rejection of you when you didn't do them anything.
Listen, yeah, and the reason why these nations have a mass rejection of us is because it's part of the curses, man. This is the book of Deuteronomy 28, again, in Deuteronomy 28:37. This is part of the curses, man. All right? It says, and thou shalt become an astonishment, a proverb, and a byword among all nations, whither the Lord shall lead thee. So whether you're amongst the Samoans, whether you're amongst the Chinese, whether you went amongst the so-called Hawaiians, whether you're amongst the so-called white man, they're always going to have a byword or proverb for us. They're not going to call us Israelites. They're not going to respect us as Israelites. You're going to be called black. You're going to be called Popolo. You're going to be called Mauli. You're going to be called a nigga. You're going to be called a spick. You're going to be called Hafi, or whatever these people got for us, because this is a part of the curses. Again, Deuteronomy 28:37. And thou shalt become an astonishment, a proverb, and a byword among all nations, whither the Lord shall lead thee. All right. In the NLT, it says you become the object of horror, ridicule, and mockery. So when they call you nigga, when they call you Mauli, all right, when they call you these different disrespectful names, all right, When they call you these disrespectful names, and mind you, the vast majority of these people never even had no real interactions with Jake like that, outside of one of us dealing with their women or what they see on TV or through entertainment, which you can blame Esau for that. Because a lot of these nations haven't had any interactions with Jake, but there's a natural hatred and it's a natural conflict between us because of these things, okay? Just because these are a part of the curses, man. This is the curse. Why these other nations don't go through this? The so-called Jew, they self-impose all this hatred upon themselves by the shit that they do to people. You know what I mean? But in reality, ain't nobody putting up no real hatred against the so-called Jew, because he could melt into the Edomite population and be considered a white man. You know, but there's a distinction, not only through the physical distinction, but a spiritual distinction that these nations have with us, and that's the reason why they call us these different names. All right. Again, it says in the NLT, Deuteronomy 28:37, you will become an object of horror. Right. When you think about the Jake, all you see is you niggas killing each other, destroying each other, robbing and stealing. People be afraid to be around Jake. And Jake take this spirit on him. And when I'm talking about Jake, I'm talking about you so-called Negroes, man. You take that shit, you niggas love, you embrace that horrifying behavior, ridicule, and mockery. That's right. So when they call you nigga, when they call you Popolo or Mauli, this is part of the curses, right? You will become an object of horror, ridicule, and mockery among all the nations which the Lord will send you. So that's the reason why. You want to know why these nations got a name for us like that? It's because that's the reason why. I downloaded this right here, or it says right here, Popolo Mauli Uli addressing anti-blackness in first and second generation Samoan Americans in Sacramento. It says, my encounter, this is by Fati Tima'u Folau, all right, somebody that's Samoan. My encounter with my family in Samoa opened my eyes to the pervasive nature of anti-blackness, which we're not black. It's anti-Israeliteness. That's what it is. As I grew darker, I was teased for being lowly, a Samoan term for black sea cucumber. You know, that's a mockery, a verbal parachute, according to Manila Sylvia, signaling blackness. In solidarity with Black Lives Matter, Popolo Mauli Uli aims to address the anti-black attitudes and sentiments in Samoan American communities. In the larger framework, this is an attempt to understand the culture positionally of the Fa'a Samoa in Samoans Americans in context to race and ethnicity. Second, in how does anti-blackness reflect the larger Pacifica across the diaspora? The research asks, how are racial understanding about the black community understood within the first and second generation Samoan American Aegea? And it's basically given to you by the white man's lens. You know, all these immigrants that come over here, get them green cards, and you get pulled into that room, and they disrespect you, man. They tell you, they give you the lowdown, and they start disrespecting Jakes. Stay away from them niggas. Stay away from them black Americans. Don't mix and mingle with them. Don't give your daughters unto them. Don't give your sons unto them. You know, it's going to bring you down because we're the lowest on the totem pole. This is the book of Psalms, chapter 44, verse 13. Thou makest us a reproach to our neighbors, a scorn and a derision to them that are round about us, man. So that we call these different names, this is the judgment of the Lord. It says, you let our neighbors mock us. We are an object of scorn and derision to those around us. Right. And the reason is because we sin against the Lord. Verse 14, thou makest us a byword among the heathen and a shaking of the head among the people. So when these different nations see us, they just shake their head at Jake. You know, they be like, what the fuck? Like, they look at Jake and with ridicule when these different nations see us, man. You know, when these different nations get around us, they just like, man, look at these people. Their families are broken. Their women are whores. Their men are sodomites and thugs and murderers and thieves and covetous. They don't want to. You look at Jake today, that's not something you want to invite into your household. That's not something you want to invite into your family. And you know that if your daughters have children with these men, what's going to end up happening? Them children going to be ridiculed. And you see it. You know, they got a whole bunch of lists and epithets and a list. This is from Wikipedia, right? A list of ethnic slurs, you know, and you name it is there. You know, a nigger, a nigger, negre, nigger, Niger, the Caribbean, negre, nigger, you know, just a black people, especially African Americans. From the Spanish and the Portuguese word negro, which means black, which we're not black, we're different shades of brown. But even to call us black is a byword. It derived from the Latin Niger, the Spanish or Portuguese term, or other such languages derive the term from it, such as Filipino, may vary in connotation. For example, in Spanish and Portuguese, it may simply refer to the color black, but we're not black. But that's a mockery unto us. You know? Black people, negritos, negritis, nigger toe, a nip. You know? So that's the reason why. Ultimately, it's for the curses. Now, the second example I have is this one right here.
Brothers in Jamaica that's, pointing out that when, people from China come and do business there, they're given a tax break that Jamaicans is not even given. Let's go roll it.
We suffer every day. Can you imagine? We have been here for centuries and we're still lagging around. If we to start a business in Jamaica, it's one of the hardest things to start a business. While the Chinaman come from China, come to Jamaica, start a business, no tax for 5 years. And by the time the 5 years come when he start pay tax, he make him cousin and he never and he uncle come and him gone. So, and listen, this have been happening for centuries. So this have nothing to do with PNP or JLP. And at the end of the day, none of them don't want to fix it because all of them want us to, the black man, to stay at the back.
Now, our brother is definitely stating something that he should be definitely angry about. So a Jamaican person create a business and they don't get 5 years tax break, but someone from China gets a tax break, and then they tell their family members and friends, hey, come start a business in Jamaica, you get a tax break. Like, what is that about? And any politician that is cool with that, they need to go. Jamaicans, you need to get heavily involved in your politics.
Yeah, and again, the reason why these nations get preferential treatment above the so-called Jamaican, so-called African American, so-called Latino, Native American is the reason why is because it's a part of the curses. All right, you have to understand this. Right, and they will not be lifted up until Yahweh comes and rescues us from this shit. This is Deuteronomy 28:43. The stranger that is within thee shall get up above thee very high, and thou shalt come down very low. So that's the reason why they get them tax breaks. Right? The foreigners living among you will become stronger and stronger while you become weaker and weaker. Right? Because Jamaica wasn't set up for the so-called West Indian to thrive over there. It wasn't. It wasn't set up for that. It wasn't set up for you to it wasn't set up it wasn't set up for you to thrive over there in perpetuity. Jamaica wasn't set up for you to get these tax breaks. That was set up for them heathens, man. And they learn your language, they talk like you, they act like you, but they really don't deal with you. They feed you poison. Okay, they feed you trash, and you call it food. All right, and you break these laws, statutes, and commandments, and you think that the Lord is going to allow you to thrive there. And that's not going to happen. All right, it's not going to happen, and it's because of the curses. All right, ultimately, that's what it is. We broke the Lord's laws, statutes, and commandments. Therefore, He has punished us. And I'll end it off with this. Where's that precept at? Well, I got two precepts. This is Baruch chapter 3, verse 8. Behold, we are yet this day in our captivity. So it don't matter if you're in Jamaica. It don't matter if you're in America. It don't matter if you're in Trinidad and Tobago. It don't matter if you're in South America somewhere. Those are the places of our captivity. All right. We are yet this day in our captivity, where thou hast scattered us for a reproach and a curse, to be subject to payments according to all the iniquities of our fathers, which departed from the Lord our God. In a GNT, all right. If it'll come up, hopefully it'll come up, because we're having problems with this computer. In the GNT, it says this. It says, you have scattered us among the nations. You have made them despise and curse us. You are punishing us for the sins of our ancestors. And the reason why? Because we are our ancestors. When they rebelled against you, the Lord our God. All right. Jeremiah 2:33. Why trimmest thou thy way to seek love? Therefore hast thou also taught the wicked ones thy ways. Exactly. Jeremiah 30 and 30 and 14. All thy lovers, these different nations, have forgotten thee. They seek thee not. For I have wounded thee with the wound of an enemy, with the chastisement of a cruel one, for the multitude of thine iniquities, because thy sins were increased. And this is why we go through what we go through, okay? For in the NLT, all your lovers, your allies, have left you. That's right, they left us to rot and do not care about you anymore. I have wounded you cruelly, as though I were your enemy. For your sins are many and your guilt is great. And this is the reason why, just the reason why we go through these things we go through amongst these nations, okay? This is the reason why we are destroyed amongst these nations, okay? All right? So, with that, I want to give all praise and honor and glory to Yahweh Bashir Shai. Double honor to the apostles and official elders of Great Millstone. And salutations to my fellow Akim. Keep pushing, keep striving. We're almost out of here. Hey, shalom.